We're going to see some experiences of participatory budgeting. As you know, like participatory budgeting, it's like the one of the best processes that currently we have for engaging citizens. So we will hear about the experience on the province of Barcelona, and also on Toulouse, the city of France, and finally Monterrey, Mexico. So the next presentation is going to be done by Marc from Participa 311, sí, es que no sé ni cómo traducirlo. Participa 311, que is the platform that they are using for the province of Barcelona. I don't know if you have the mic, no? Oh, okay, so you will need to do it with the, sorry.
Hey, hello everybody. I'm afraid that my presentation will be in Catalan, but it will last only 6 minutes, more or less, so I hope it won't be painful. But basically, I'm going to present a study about the implementation of the Decidim in the Barcelona province, no? And which municipalities adopted the platform and which uses they do with the platform, and specifically how they use the platform for the participatory budgets. Okay, so bàsicament una mica l'estudi que hem presentat, que hem fet per la Diputació de Barcelona, que bàsicament impulsa la implementació a l'ús de la plataforma a partir del Participa 311 en el conjunt dels municipis de la província. Bàsicament la pregunta és com anem, de si realment els municipis estan implementant, estan adoptant aquesta plataforma i després quins usos se li està donant a la pròpia plataforma. Hem fet un parell d'estudis, un el 2021, un altre ara que estem a punt de publicar, i tenim en general bones notícies, jo diria, per compartir. Ja en el 2021, 127 municipis de la província de Barcelona, són 311 municipis en total, el 41% ja tenien la plataforma activa. 4 anys després tenim 135. Realment, als anys 21-22 hi va haver una certa explosió d'aquesta implementació i ara va una mica més lent, però tenim 8 noves incorporacions, arribant al 43% dels municipis de la província. Una mica el nou estudi el que constatem també és quin tipus de municipis estan adoptant la plataforma Decidim i quins no. Bàsicament, els més grans tendeixen més a adoptar aquesta plataforma i molt més que els petits. Això té límits, però també no implica tantes dificultats en processos com els pressupostos participatius. Els pressupostos participatius continua sent el procés estrella, clarament, en els processos de Decidim, però també el que veiem és que això s'ha anat diversificant. O sigui, una vegada els municipis, els ajuntaments, tenen el Decidim, van introduint, cosa que també és bona notícia, nous components i processos participatius a través de la plataforma. Si així el 2021 el 30% dels processos eren pressupostos participatius desenvolupats en Decidim, en l'actualitat és el 22%. O sigui, és menys, però s'ha de llegir en positiu, amb aquesta diversificació. En l'estudi actual fem un focus sobre els pressupostos participatius a través d'una enquesta en els managers, amb els gestors que utilitzen aquestes plataformes en els governs locals. Bàsicament el que hem vist, que és des del 2021 fins al 2025, també és important saber quants pressupostos participatius s'estan desenvolupant actualment a la província. El que hem trobat és que s'estan desenvolupant més de 100, o s'han desenvolupat més de 100 pressupostos participatius en els municipis de la província. Tot i que això és un 30% bàsicament dels municipis, la part positiva és que el 63% de la població de la província ha pogut participar en un procés participatiu. En relació a quin tipus de municipis han fet pressupostos participatius, trobem que, novament, els més poblats, els més densos i també els que tenen major renda familiar disponible. Els més rics també són els que participen més en aquests processos, que a vegades està correlacionat, a vegades no, amb el tamany de la població. També ens hem preguntat una mica, i crec que és pertinent avui, és la relació entre la plataforma i l'ús del pressupost participatiu. Òbviament, el pressupost participatiu es pot fer sense la plataforma, però el que hem vist és que el 86% dels que han fet pressupostos participatius teníem la plataforma. Però, novament, una mica hi ha un conjunt de municipis que no la fan servir, sobretot els municipis més petits, i hem trobat també amb aquesta idea de la diversificació d'usos de la plataforma que només un 30% dels municipis només la fan servir per pressupostos participatius. Aquesta idea que la plataforma pot ser un bon enganxe primer per fer pressupostos participatius, però després es va diversificant amb altres tipus de processos. Crec que també compartir una mica un altre dels resultats interessants aquí és què en pensen els gestors locals de les plataformes sobre la pròpia plataforma que vosaltres esteu desenvolupant. Doncs bàsicament són opinions sobretot vinculades als aspectes negatius i positius. En relació als positius, ells bàsicament expressen la importància de la plataforma per ordenar, per donar transparència a tot el procés i per donar traçabilitat. Aquests serien com els aspectes més positius i, òbviament, també la possibilitat de fer la votació o la priorització online. En respecte als més negatius, tenim el tema del registre, de l'accés, que ha de combinar aquesta facilitat però també aquesta autenticitat dels participants i temes molt vinculats a la usabilitat i l'aparença de la plataforma. Una mica en relació ja per anar concloent, que m'han tret ja el cartellet de 2 minuts, una mica aquesta reflexió en relació entre la plataforma i els pressupostos participatius. Bàsicament, sorprenentment, hem trobat que un 20 i escaig % dels municipis fan pressupostos participatius només a través d'online o a través de la plataforma. I pensem que això també pot ser un perill, perquè si no hi ha aquesta combinació d'aspectes híbrids pot afectar greument a qui participa i a qui arriba a aquests processos participatius. També tenim dificultats i crec que la plataforma podria donar més informació sobre el perfil dels participants, sobretot en la fase de votació o de priorització de les propostes. Ara mateix, si els pressupostos participatius volen arribar a més gent i a més perfils, necessitem informació de qui actualment està participant i qui actualment estem deixant fora d'aquests processos. Tenim fonts d'informació, però encara no podem explotar bé aquestes fonts d'informació relacionades amb la plataforma. Tot i així, en relació a aquells aspectes més presencials, si volem arribar a més població, ens hem de focalitzar en aquells aspectes molt vinculats a la creació de propostes per votar en els pressupostos participatius. Que aquesta creació de propostes, precisament, està normalment fora de les plataformes, perquè és un component més deliberatiu, més de trobades, més que s'ha d'anar a buscar a les persones i en la qual la plataforma encara té molts límits per incentivar aquests processos deliberatius. Bàsicament, això, aquestes bones notícies d'aquesta implementació de la plataforma als municipis de la província de Barcelona, amb el suport de la Diputació de Barcelona, però encara tenim molts reptes a l'hora de diversificar les persones que participen, també conèixer informació d'aquests perfils i aprofundir i anar a buscar amb aquests processos híbrids aquelles persones perquè facin propostes i es diversifiqui el perfil. I ho deixaria aquí. Moltes gràcies.
Muchas gracias, Marc. Okay, now we're going to hear about Toulouse from Olga. She's going to present all the experience that they have done on Toulouse. France, a big round of applause for Olga.
Thank you. Just to see how the laser works. I don't see it. Oh well, I guess I'll just show with my hands. The laser, yeah. No, okay. So, hello everybody. My name is Olga Slobodova. I am currently a postdoctoral researcher at CNRS, which is the French National Center for Science and Research. But today I'm going to present to you some results of my doctoral thesis, specifically on participatory budget. In general, my current and past research is driven by the interest in how do we give more agency to marginalized population, and especially I'm interested in unorganized citizens versus citizens that are already engaged in associations and civil society. So I'll focus on 2 points to make it simple and brief. The first one is the representativity of voters, especially when it comes to their financial capital, which sets the background for the second point, unequal voting power within the participants who have already arrived to the platform and decided to participate. And we can observe this inequality through voting patterns that can be explained by either type of capital, not financial. So just to set the stage, Toulouse, maybe you know, it's across the Pyrenees in France. And if you've been there, you might remember it by red bricks architecture, or you might know it by Airbus, and other aerospatial companies that are based there. Toulouse has, or at 2022, at that point, had one of the biggest budgets, for participatory budget in France. So from the so-called, they called it experimental edition. The first one was just to experiment, and the second one evolved quite a lot from the first one. So initially they implemented PB in so-called priority neighborhoods, popular neighborhoods, in 4 different municipalities of the metropolitan area, but the second one was only in the city of Toulouse, the central municipality of the metropolitan area. What's important for us for this talk is that in the first one, each voter had a basket of 7 hearts, they call them, 7 cœurs, and you could put maximum 3 votes per project. So you could vote for different projects, but 3 votes per project maximum. In the next edition, they reduced it to 3 votes with 1 vote per project. So let's see how the participation rate maps to social demographic situation. That is 2022. In shades of green, you see the number of votes within participatory budget per 100 inhabitants in each neighborhood. The highest rate you see here is 4.6 votes per 100 inhabitants, not 4.6 people, because each person, as you remember, had several votes. So the larger the red semicircles are, the higher the unemployment rate, and those are very pale green in terms of participation rate. The higher the blue semicircles are, the higher the percentage of white-collar workers, which are mostly in the city center, but also in the outskirts, in the direction to the aerospatial clusters locations. In general, the coefficient is pretty significant for those 2 pairs of indicators. So if we see the distribution of landlords to tenants within Toulouse population in general, out of 10 people, 6 don't own their housing, and among those 10 people, 3 out of 4 house owners knew about participatory budget, while only 2 out of 6 renters knew about participatory budget. So you can see some inequality here. So having seen this skew in representativity towards financial capital, let's see how people voted. So imagine you are given 7 votes, which you can attribute to different projects with maximum 3 per project. How would you attribute those votes? Maybe you have a favorite project, you attribute 3 votes, and then I don't know what you would do, but maybe you would continue attributing 2 votes to another project, 1 vote to a third one. But as you can see, almost 1/3 of the participants only spent 3 votes for 1 project and left the platform without using the rest of their projects. That's what we've seen a little bit in the presentation from Brazil. 80% of people only vote for 1 idea and don't vote for other ideas. That can be explained by different hypotheses. Maybe they don't have time, there's too much text to read. Maybe authors with high, what's called social capital, with interpersonal network, ask their friends to vote for their project, who just click on the link, vote and leave. Maybe they create fake accounts. These are just different hypotheses, and I frankly don't know the response yet. That's an interesting topic to continue researching. So what we've seen before was in the first edition. In the second edition, we only have a basket of 3 votes, with one vote per project. So we don't observe the same, we cannot compare, we don't observe the same effect. Actually, on average, around 8% of people voted only for 1 project and left. But there are a few outliers, 4 or 5 projects that won, that got up to 50% of those voters who voted only for that project. And we can see these outliers in this graph. So this is the timeline of the voting stage, and we can see these unbelievable spikes in number of votes. And they're unbelievable not only because of the statistical distribution, but also because there's this coincidence that exactly the same number of votes were attributed to 2 projects, pairs of projects that you can see in shades of colors here in each case, got exactly the same number of votes on the same day. So we don't know if they mobilized their interpersonal network through their associations on that day, or they used fake accounts. We cannot know that. So to wrap up, these are my the two takeaways from my presentation. Well, the lack of representativity of those who come to participate. And there's already an extensive literature on that, so I'm not gonna talk more about this. The second point, however, unequal voting power between those who participate. Sorry, that's my timer. I'll just finish quickly. Since I'm interested in social capital, that's a term proposed by Pierre Bourdieu. It could be one of the explanations that organized citizens have more power over unorganized citizens. And, well, sorry, I'm starting from the second point here, but maybe one of the solutions is to explicitly ask authors of proposals to put if they're representing an association or they're just an individual. People who might create fake accounts, they have probably a higher digital capital. Maybe they're more up to creating numerous email addresses to create several accounts. Maybe what we can call moral capital. That's not a term I took from literature. I'm just proposing something wild, but maybe it's part of social capital. They have less moral constraints to create fake accounts. In that case, ID authentication could be a solution. But once again, it's, as Marc previously said, that's a barrier to participation as well. So third possibility would be to publish more open data that's more accessible for people to do this kind of analysis and publish it, maybe on the platform itself, maybe elsewhere, to show which projects received unbelievable number of votes and so on. We also need to think about unintended consequences if the city council seeing this analysis would actually implement more restrictions that restrict the agency of individual citizens who are not organized, again, like ID authentication, but that's just food for thought for all of you. Thank you very much, and you can check my publications on my website or write to me, and I will be very interested to talk to you after the presentations.
Okay, thank you very much, Olga. I think it's really interesting to see this kind of voting analysis. I think that we are starting working with having support for Babu Lib, that it's like a standard for exporting this kind of votes for researchers. So our last talk for today is going to be Laura from Monterrey. She will present us the experience of participatory budgeting on Monterrey. Yeah, I'm okay? Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very inspired for the 3 days I have spent here. And also very nervous. It's horrible to be the last one because I've been on my nerves since the first day, but I'm very excited to share our experience in Monterrey, Mexico. I'm Laura de los Santos, and there's a lot of things that I could talk about this project, so I took the 5 that I think could be more strategic here. I focus a lot about the territorial participatory process with the neighbors. That was what I did when I worked in the government, so I'm going to talk about that. And okay, so we implemented Decidim for the participatory budget for 3 years. We received 800 proposals, more than 80 projects that we already implemented in the municipality, and more than 25,000 people participated in these 3 years. I'm a firm believer that you need to implement this a lot of times for the project to be successful. People need to know about it. It's something that needs to continue in order to be more successful. So each year we learn different things and we tried different strategies that worked for different publics. What we did the last year, and I think was the most successful, or at least we could see that in the votes, is that we united like the physical strategy for people paying their house taxes. So a lot of people in Monterrey pay their taxes the first month in January. There's a lot of discounts to be like the first one that they pay it. And you can do it online, but people love to do it physically, even if it's the 1st of January at 5 a.m. With a 2-hour line. I don't know why people love doing that. We were there for the 3 years at 5 a.m. Communicating the project. So what we thought was important in that part is to connect, like this direct connection about you decide about your budget. Like you're paying taxes, you hate paying taxes, how can we make this better? You can decide at least what a part of your taxes, where is it going to? Like to a park, to a court, to a specific street that you're interested in. So we connected the voting process with that. It's important to clarify that it was not necessary to pay your taxes to participate, because participation is a right. I think that's important, but we did profit from the way the lines were formed, and we had people in our team talking with people that was in the line, and presenting like what were the projects available for their specific sector. And that to say, we had a lot of strategies of different communication strategies. We did social media, we did TV, we did radio, and it targeted different audiences. And this, well, we have this like physical poster that we gave to neighbors that had a project that was going to go through the voting process, and we wrote with them by hand like what was their proposal, so they could put like these posters in their part of the city, in their parks, or the specific place that they wanted to make better. So it was like a very neighborly communication about the project. Also, we visit a lot of public spaces. In a month, we made 160 events. It was very intense. It was like small events and big events, but our intention was to like go where the people already is. Like we cannot expect for them to go to our offices at the center of Monterrey to participate. We went to public libraries, we went to parks, we went to community centers, and we made events there where people already were going. And also, I think it was very important to have citizen ambassadors. So we make like a really big campaign for the people that had a project that was up for voting. It was like, it's your project, you're the ambassador. We gave them T-shirts, we gave them posters, we gave them a small script so they could record their social media video about their proposal. So I think this is very important. I think it's one of the best ways that the projects got communicated, because it was like very honest and very direct from the people that proposed the project, and they were already known in their communities. So the ambassadors are people that already have the respect from the place where they live in, and they have certain authority of being like always involved with the government, etc. So I think this was very important. And the best part about these projects. And I said we had 80 projects that were implemented. This is just one, and I always choose this one because I think it's important to remember why community knowledge is important. This project, this was a abandoned space that the municipal government didn't even know that it was a municipal land. It was like a big confusion because it was a property that was alongside a state school, so normally it would be of the state or of the nation, but not of the municipality. So it wasn't very clear, but it was the only project proposed in Sierra Ventana, a very vulnerable zone of Monterrey. So there was a lot of effort in validating if this project was feasible or not, because it is important, every project is important, and also it was the only project for that sector. So we made a lot of bureaucratic research of like paperwork of like that land, who owns that land, and at the end it results that it was of the municipality, and all this time something could happen in that space. And it was because of a neighbor, Sonia, that proposed a project, because local knowledge is real. Like, it's real that the municipality wouldn't have thought about making this if the participatory process didn't exist. So I think it's important to translate this in like real things, and I think it's obvious. And now it's one of the, it's the only park that they have in the area, and it's one of the best parks now that is in the zone, and the neighbors made it happen. And well, we are also trying to motivate other Mexican cities to implement this project. So this is in another town an hour away from Monterrey. And well, the intention is to keep spreading the importance of these type of processes in Mexico. We also use Decidim, so I think I'm particularly excited about that. I think it's like the next steps, because well, government change, and then you cannot guarantee that there's going to be continuity. And to wrap up, and the last point that is very important to me is, this is what I have identified to be successful keys to implement this important democratic tool, but that you need to do it on the ground. So the first is all the digital initiatives, you need to support it on the ground, and my recommendation is connected with existing processes. The government needs efficiency. They cannot spend more in more events and more, I don't know, rallies, reunions. So you need to use what already exists. The second one is with Decidim, you can monitor participation and make adjustments. So we had a month for proposals and a month for voting. And you can use that space to see if there's some sectors that don't have projects still, or if you can observe in real time and adjust to promote participation in other sections of the municipality. The third, and I think it was obvious with the project that I just showed you, the importance of citizen ambassadors. It is real, it is not a myth, that it's important for these projects to be community-based. And I think that's the way that you can really work with the people for it to be greatly communicated. The fourth is diversify communication strategies. As I was telling, we did everything. We did radio, TV, WhatsApp campaigns. We went to other municipality events. We went to parks, to libraries. So it's important for this strategy to be known at first, and it's important to have a lot of resources in that part of the process to really guarantee that it could be actually a democratic process and a known process. And the last one that I love, and I think that's the best advice that I can give from my experience, is that we always talk about these processes as we need to put people at the center of decision making. And normally we talk about neighbors, and that's great, and I totally support that. But I think sometimes we forget that public servants are also people, and are people that normally have jobs that are very tiring, not the best paid jobs. You cannot have a remote job because you need to physically go to the offices, or at least that's how it happens in Mexico. So you need to invest a lot on what I call this emotional salary. You need to have teams that are very motivated, because I think a difference that working in the government can make, that not a lot of jobs can give you, that is that you can feel that you're changing the world. You're changing the world, you're changing your city, and that's in your hands. So I think that's incredibly motivating, but that doesn't happen magically. You need to remind your teams about this. It's something you need to work. You also need to work in are they feeling safe? Are they feeling heard? How do people think being on the street and doing all this strategy is actually going to be successful or not? What are the ideas? So I think, well, yeah, that's what I want to press on. It's important. It's never alone. It's always with a team. This is a marvelous team that did this with me in Monterrey, and I think it's important to continue believing that we can change the world and that it doesn't happen magically, and yeah, motivate that. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Laura. I think it was a great presentation for closing today. All the connection between the presential spaces and also the digital place, but the communication and so on. I think it's a perfect summary for all the things that you need to handle. No? So now we're going to have one quick round of questions and answers for the different projects that they presented. Just to recap, we have Participatory Sonsa from the province of Barcelona, also the experience of Monterrey, and finally the Toulouse analysis.
Yes, a question for Olga. Okay, because we are using Decidim to support PB in Italy, and in order to avoid the participants coming and voting just for its own project or just for one, we decided to make compulsory voting for at least 3 projects. What do you think about it, and what didn't you have the same solution?
Yeah, we actually discussed this yesterday at a workshop about voting. I think that's a solution, but in specific cases, I'm not sure it's, well, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not giving you a recommendation that you should probably research a bit, and I would like to do this research. But I think in participatory budget, that's a restriction on top of all the other restrictions that participatory budget already needs to have that might stop people from participating. And what happens a lot of time, that's what I heard from actors in my interviews, my research interviews. They said people actually think they voted, but they don't push the final button. And in the end, their vote doesn't count, and that could be also a problem. Maybe they haven't read in the rules that they need to vote for several projects, and they think they voted, but in the end, their vote doesn't count.
Okay, more questions? Any thoughts? Yeah.
I want to share a reflection after this 3 day, very nice arranged and so. I had a party for 12 years. I started in 2002. It was a democracy party. We had over 1,000 votings, and when we ended it, we started a national party in Sweden. During those 1,000 votings, we met only to take a coffee and celebrate things together and at the annual meetings. When we met with the national guys, we should decide things in the same room. We yelled at each other for 7 days. We were so mad, everyone. So I think we don't talk enough about the different cultures. The digital culture is rational, it's not emotional in a good sense. But when we meet, because we need to meet as we do now, we have to do good things as you do. Yes, that's the thing I want to say. And thank you everyone who arranged this. This is really super event.
Yeah, let's try to focus the questions because it's the last day, and like we want all to eat. At least me, I'm very hungry. So let's try to focus on the questions on like what the speaker says, because if everyone says, yeah, I think this and this is my experience, we're going to go to eat in like 2 hours from now, and I can't wait 2 hours. So yeah, Diego, go ahead.
For Laura. I'm curious about the paper side of it, like this posters on public spaces. It's an amazing idea. And how did you leverage getting ideas into the platform without? Were there cases where they didn't do like their login and their password? They just submitted ideas like from the facilitators, or like how did you leverage this? Some people won't get an account but can put ideas in, or can get them through paper, or this kinds of tricks.
What we did, I can speak. Hola, hola. ¿Sí? Bueno, sí. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we did is for the proposal part, you needed to make an account, but the events that I was showing, the 160 events, we had tablets. We rented tablets for that specific part, and we did help citizens create an account. Our logic, that was the logic at the time, is like when people want to upload a project, they have like the motivation enough to make an account. But for voting, that's not the same case. So for voting, we used a survey part of Decidim, and we didn't have to make an account. They uploaded their ID, so we could validate that it was only one vote per person. And that's not the part that I'm most proud, but that's what we did in the case in Monterrey. We did manual verification of the IDs. So that's why we had a really motivated team that was willing to do that. But in the case of Saltillo, we used TrueDocs for at least to facilitate the reading part of the ID and to just make a filter to see if it was if the national ID was repeated or not. De nada.
I have a question for Laura also. This connection between tax payment and participating in budget attribution, I think is, I've been doing research on that too, and I root for this. I'm interested if this connection in Monterrey was made only when people went physically to vote, standing in a line, or there was a button on the website where you could pay taxes online, and how was there any kind of correlation between higher participation of those people who came to pay taxes initially?
Okay, I'm thinking. Well, first, when you paid your taxes online, at the end it sent you to the Decidim webpage. So it was like a script that says okay, now you can decide for the project in your sector. That for the webpage. For what was the other question? The connection.
If there's any kind of correlation, if you saw higher participation among those who saw it through tax payments process.
We don't have that direct. We have the connection that the year that we did that was the year that most people participated, but it could be attributable to different strategies we did. But what we also did is that the communication strategy was based, I'm going to say it in Spanish because I don't have the translation for that, but it's pon tu predial en acción. So that was the catchy slogan that's put your taxes in action. And it was the whole campaign was about that. And I think people received that well. I don't have the exact correlation, but at least from the surveys we did and talking with the neighbors, it was an important part of the strategy for the third year.
I don't know if there is any other question. Yeah, Sonia? Yeah?
Yeah. It was a bit of an expansion of Olga's question when you mentioned sort of the integration of existing events into sort of the digital process. And are there additional ways besides the physical presence of sort of your crew on the ground at these existing events that you were integrating the processes?
Let's see. For example, for the ambassadors, we made okay, I'm trying to summarize this. What we did is we had the third year, it was 180 proposals that went for voting. So we divided between our team, you have 10 persons, 10 persons, 10 persons, and then we established direct contact with the person with the proposal, and we organized the event with them. So we were we can go to your park, we can go to your library, just tell us which day works for you, and if we made a digital poster for that event, for them to share them in their WhatsApp groups. We also used a lot of WhatsApp, it's very common to have WhatsApp neighborhood groups. So we made campaigns specifically for WhatsApp, resend, and for them to be more catchy. That's why we made the script for neighbors. So it's hi, my name is blank, my project is blank, I'm from blank, and they recorded their own video that was the one that we supported for the communication campaign. So yeah, I would say that.
Thank you.
Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, maybe we can wrap up. Thank you everyone for being here on this Decidim Fest. Now we're going to go outside where we will have the Decidim Awards and also the wrap up and the family photo, so everyone can go.